YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Rome 2. We're going to continue some more underdogish action here. Again, though, some of the factions I'm getting to here are not near as bad as some of the ones that I've played before. So Massilia is one that you'll ask for, and I'm going to play them. My opponent picks Parthia, and he brings actually 7 Parthian swordsmen, which is an interesting choice. And I did actually come prepared for swords, just in case. I did not assume that my opponent was going to bring all cavalry. But so how did I come prepared for that? Well, Massilian hoplites actually have a very nice charge, and they should be able to hold off Parthian swordsmen. And then I also brought an axe warrior that I could use either as a meat shield, or I could use the axe warrior to go through the combat and get in with the swordsmen. They'll do well in that type of scenario. You can kind of send them through the backs of your own units. And then I've also got a whole bunch of Massilian Thurio spears. Now these guys serve a dual purpose. On the flank, again, they have an excellent charge bonus. Their attack's not so good, but really good charge bonus. They can throw javelins at cavalry. They're well armored, and they are just a very handy unit. So I'm going to leave 2 of them in the back. I've got 2 on each flank, so I'm using them for a dual purpose role here. And I've got 4 Celtic slingers, and then I've got 4 Massilian cavalry. Yeah, so here's 2 of them. I kind of feint charge the Parthian to keep him off the hill, and then I'm trying to lure his noble blood cab into my Massilian Thurio spears here. But my opponent can see what I'm doing, and he's going to pull away from that engagement. So I now have a terrain advantage. I can engage the Parthians on a downhill charge, which is good. I already have a charge advantage as well. Yeah, so the Parthian, 7 swords, 1 mercenary peltist, 2 noble horse archers, which is an odd pick. Those guys can be dangerous, though, if they get into the right position. And he's holding his royal cataphracts in reserve, which is also kind of an odd idea, but who knows? Maybe he hopes to destroy all my skirmishers and cav, and then bring those guys in at the end and destroy me. That's very possible. So I'm kind of outnumbered here with my Massilian hoplites, which is not the best, but I do get decent charges. They're downhill charges, and I'm going to engage all the Parthian swords, though I did miss this one here, and it's going to be able to punch straight through my formation. Otherwise, though, I did pretty good at stopping the Parthian swords on the charge. You can see that they actually were losing to Massilians' Thurio spears very badly on the charge. Parthian swords are not very good. They are pretty shaky, but I mean, they're a fun unit to use. I've used them before. My opponent immediately goes into shield wall to extend the combat. That's probably a good decision. And then I go into hoplite wall with most of my hoplites, not all of them though. He's firing on my Thurio spears, which is not a good target. He's going to want to target my Massilian hoplites, and he actually has access to their unshielded flank here with those noble horse archers. That would have been a much better target. So my Massilian Thurio spears, though, this Parthian swordsman in shield wall, so I'm just going to come back here and throw javelins straight into their rear. And notice how I keep this unit in reserve to fend off his noble cab, and my Massilian cab stay in reserve as well, to try and keep Parthian troops from being able to rear charge me. Otherwise, I'm going to push my Massilian Thurio spears through. My opponent should have already had his cataphracts here and charge these guys, because now his units are going to suffer badly from a rear charge from a unit that has a very good charge bonus. This is not going to be something that my opponent's going to want to experience. These Massilian Thurio spears are going to get an excellent rear charge here, and it's going to badly damage his Parthian swords. You can see, though, my opponent's... Yeah, that's his peltis back there. I've got more Massilian Thurio spears moving up, and here in a minute, I think we're going to see his cataphracts crest over the hill there. No, his peltis are firing into my Massilian Thurio spears. I'm hitting them with slinger fire right now as well. Yeah, there comes his cataphracts. So I'm going to be forced to go into square formation, try and fend off his cataphracts. It's not going to work brilliantly, though. So his cataphracts are going to get nice charges. Let's hop out of there so you can see the overall battle. The mainline infantry engagement's going well for me. My Massilian hoplites are easily winning. And my Massilian cav engaged his noble blood cav only after I slowed them up with infantry, so it was kind of a... trying to just wait for the right moment. Massilian cav has a very nice charge bonus and a good bonus versus cav for light cavalry. And if you bring them into combat after the charge is over, they will do very well against a lot of different units. So again, I'm going to bring them in and let them start duking it out while they're not charged. The Parthian swords, they rout, so now we have Massilian Thurio spears in a formation with noble blood cav. Same thing here. So my opponent there is going to lose his noble blood cav. Now this is what I was worried about. My opponent brings his noble horse archers in for a rear charge, That's potentially dangerous, but if he gets bogged down in combat, it's going to wreck them. But my slingers really don't need to be killed, and I forgot I had this Massilian Cav here, and I'm not countering the way I should, so this is very dangerous to have this noble horse archer in my back lines, and it will slaughter my slingers with ease. Those guys have very nice melee stats, actually. Now, that said, these guys are still fresh, which is good, but they really don't want to get engaged with Massilian Cav. That would be a very poor engagement for him, and now it's too late. So my Massilian Cav's going to get an engagement there at once, and these guys are going to get caught by my Massilian Cav too. Now, all the while, his Royal Cataphracts are getting some kills on their charges, and I'm not damaging them yet, really. And even though my guys are in square formation, he can charge in, and he's going to get a few kills. Yeah, see that? His Royal Cataphracts. So saving them for late game's not a bad plan, but I think my opponent waited too late. I left a little gap in my formation here, and let's say that his Cataphracts had been up here in supporting position. This gap I left right there in my line, he could have just come through there, chased my Massilian Cav with one, bring the other Royal Cataphract around, and boom! That would have been game over for my infantry. Because I had already started to move my spears to the flanks, and they were engaged by his infantry. Royal Cataphract charge in the back would have been more than my guys could have handled, I think. Again, his Royal Cataphract here is getting some decent kills. This one, at this point, starts to get bogged down on my Thurio Spears, and then I'm going to countercharge it with Massilian Cav, so now it's going to have to stay in that engagement, which it would probably win, but it's not an engagement at once. And I can reinforce with these Massilian Hoplites, so I'm now starting to move my infantry away from their victorious engagement. Look at these Massilian Cavalry just thrashing Noble Horse Archers. Yeah, this is really a bad engagement for the Noble Horse Archers. Very good engagement for me. And again, I just need to disrupt the charge of the Royal Cataphracts. He's used Trample here, which I think is a horrible mistake, unless he is... Yeah, he is never mind, it's not a horrible mistake. He has second wind in Battle Rhythm. So, good decision. I'm going to try and maximize the damage because you can see the battle's not going well. He's going to charge on down into my Massilian Cav, but he was getting disrupted, so it's not going to be the best charge, and I'm going to reinforce with another one. So now he's pinned in combat. He really needed to keep his general free. So he does have Battle Rhythm, he does have second wind, but none of those things are going to save his general at this point. He's going to be completely bogged down and get destroyed. So, again, this is the kind of fight that Massilian Cav can be very useful for. Don't let it get charged by heavy cavalry because it is light. But if you can get it into a fight after it's started, they are excellent at that type of fight. Excellent cav units for that, especially for their price. They're one of the best light cavalry units in the game, if not the best. So yeah, the Parthian infantry gets destroyed, the Parthian general routes, and that's going to end up being a victory for Massilia. I think Massilia is fairly well suited to fight cav-heavy factions, and if I were a Parthian, I would probably just try and use a revised version of a sword build to go after Massilia. Though Massilia has thorax swords, which are technically better than the Parthian swords, I think, and they also have the Massilian hoplites, which are better. But the Parthians have access to axemen, which could be used to good effect against the hoplites. And the swordsmen ought to be a close match, at least for thorax swords, I would think. So if I were the Parthian, I would have probably made use of axemen against the Massilians, because a lot of them have heavy armor. And then you would have needed to do Eastern Cataphracts, I think, instead of Royals. Get rid of the Noble Horse Archers, Eastern Cataphracts instead. And then you could have brought like some cheaper Median Cav or something to try and deal with my Massilian cavalry. Something cheaper. I'm not sure what the Peltis would have done in that scenario either. I think Eastern Slingers are a good choice for skirmishers for Parthia as well. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that one. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.